welcome, bonjour. The 1990 crisis shouldn't have happened. After months of tensions, conflicts, the death of a police officer, the use of the army, and how many millions of dollars, the federal government finally recognized our grievances to this territory. They agreed to set up negotiating tables. We were ready to negotiate before, we were ready to negotiate after, and we're still ready to negotiate. But after some efforts from the federal government, the process stalled. In 2006, the federal government unilaterally decided to suspend that process. Let's be clear, the lands of the Seigneury of Lake Mountains are burdened by our ancestral and treaty rights. Our Mohawk title and our rights are protected under the Canadian law as well. We will never cede these rights. A little history lesson. In 1718, a deed of concession of the Seigneury of Lake Mountains was ratified by the French Crown to the Sulpicians for the exclusive use of the Mohawks. This deed contains a solemn commitment to let the Mohawks occupy most of the land. According to our benefits, and in 1760, the Treaty of Oswegatchie, concluded between the Seven Nations and the British Crown, again recognized our rights to occupy this land. Our treaty and ancestral rights are protected by the Royal Proclamation of 1763. The use and sale of the lands to non-Mohawks was and still is illegal and contrary to Canadian constitutional law. Even the federal government recognized that the Crown breached its treaty and fiduciary obligations to protect the rights of the Mohawks of Kanesatake, in that it never intervened to protect the rights of the Mohawks with the Seigneury. We never surrendered our rights to this land, and will never do so. The problem that we're facing is we're facing an empty chair. The federal government has indicated that it has no intention of going through the kind of negotiation that this situation requires. Their commitments in 1991 and 1994 are complex. We know it's not easy, but this is the only solution. Canada putting its head in the sand is not a solution. Unfortunately, the litigation related to the land claim of the Seigneury of Lake Mountains has been rekindled by last week's events, when land developers of Norfolk initiated work on an area of land situated in the heart of our traditional territory. And what does the federal government do? Nothing. What does the provincial government? Nothing. Has any of the governments learned lessons from 1990? The question that's open. We don't want a second crisis. We want this matter resolved as it should be. That is to say, by negotiating a formal agreement that was established in 1991 and 1994. I trust that the government officials have learned from 1990, the 1990 crisis over 20 years ago. We can settle our differences once and for all, so that such events don't occur. The land on which the Norfolk Company planned to build housing is part of the Seigneury of Lake Mountains, a territory in which the Mohawks of Kanesatake hold title and Aboriginal rights, protected again by the Canadian Constitution. Moreover, the real estate development project was initiated without any consultation with the Mohawk community. Contrary to Canadian jurisprudence, the Supreme Court has made it clear that the government has obligations to consult and accommodate Aboriginal groups whose rights could be potentially affected by such projects. The Mohawk Council of Kanesatake therefore requests that work be stopped and that Canada purchase said lands for sale by Norfolk Financial according to Section 2.2 of the 1994 agreement and Section 3.1 of the 1991 agreement. We also request that Canada invites the government of Quebec to the negotiating table. as set in Section 2.4 of the 1994 agreement for real negotiations and not to impose specific claims policy on us. Under specific claims policy, we would have to abandon our treaty rights and title for some money. This isn't an issue about money. This is a principle issue. This is a legal issue, and this is an issue that addresses rights and freedoms. And I also think it's an identity issue. The position of the Mohawk Council of Kanesatake is based on legitimate legal arguments, and those justify a refusal to accept a real estate project on land that our community has been protecting for over 300 years. In addition, this piece of land is important to us. It's adjacent to a treatment center catering to natives from all over Quebec. Residents of this property have been secluded so they can heal in a calm and restful place. These people are already balancing on the edge of society. A real estate development in this area is clearly unsuitable. Our position is clear. We offer solutions and call on the governments of Canada and Quebec to sit with us at the same negotiating table. I'll pass the mic over to Chief Gordon Oke, who will make some comments in French language.
On va faire comme le Canadien de Montréal. Je suis chef Gordon Oke. Le contentieux lié aux terres de la seigneurie du lac de Deux-Montagnes a été ravivé par les événements de la semaine dernière, alors que la société Norfolk s'apprêtait à développer un terrain situé au cœur du territoire ancestral des Mohawks. Nous ne voulons pas une deuxième crise d'Oka. Nous voulons que cette question soit réglée comme il se doit, c'est-à-dire par la négociation d'une entente formelle. J'ose croire que les autorités gouvernementales ont appris de la crise de 90 et que, 20 ans plus tard, on puisse régler nos différends une fois pour toutes, pour que de tels événements ne se produisent pas. Les terrains sur lesquels la société Norfolk prévoit de le développer font partie de la seigneurie du lac de Deux-Montagnes, territoire sur lequel les Mohawks de Kanesatake tiennent un titre, ainsi que des droits ancestraux et de traités protégés par la Constitution canadienne. Le projet de développement immobilier a été initié sans aucune consultation avec la communauté Mohawk, ce qui est contraire à la jurisprudence canadienne, à l'effet que le gouvernement a l'obligation de consulter et d'accommoder tout groupe autochtone dont un projet aurait pour effet de porter atteinte à des droits ancestraux potentiels. Le Conseil Mohawk de Kanesatake demande donc que les travaux soient ajournés et que le Canada achète les terrains à vendre par Norfolk Financial selon section 2.2 du protocole d'entente de 94 et section 3.1 CE, le numéro de l'agenda des négociations de 91. Nous demandons également au Canada d'inviter le gouvernement du Canada à la table de négociation selon la section 2.4 du protocole d'entente des négociations. Ce n'est pas seulement une question d'argent, c'est une question de principe, une question légale, une question de droits et libertés et une question d'identité. La position du Conseil Mohawk de Kanesatake repose sur des arguments légitimes et légaux qui justifient totalement le refus d'avoir un projet immobilier s'implanter sur ces terres que la communauté revendique depuis près de 300 ans. Le fait également qu'une centre de traitement accueillant des Autochtones de l'ensemble du Québec soit adjacent au terrain que Norfolk souhaite exploiter nous préoccupe grandement. Les pensionnaires de cet établissement sont isolés. afin qu'ils puissent guérir dans un endroit calme et reposant. Ces personnes sont déjà en marge de la société. Un développement immobilier à cet endroit est de toute évidence incompatible avec l'utilisation des lieux. Le Conseil Mohawk de Kanesatake, dont les positions sont claires, propose des solutions et demande que les gouvernements du Canada et du Québec s'assoient avec lui à la table des négociations. Nous voulons d'une véritable négociation de nation à nation, pas une demi-entente en vertu de la politique fédérale, de revendications particulières qui ne correspondent aucunement à notre situation. Merci beaucoup.